On the morning of March 28, 2007, thousands of Circuit City employees were called into meetings at stores across America. Some of them thought they were about to be recognized. One car stereo installer in North Carolina told a local station he assumed the meeting was an award for outstanding performance. Instead, they were handed termination letters and escorted out of the building. 3,400 people fired in a single morning, not for stealing, not for underperforming. Circuit City said the quiet part in its own press release. They were fired because they were paid, quote, well above the market-based salary range for their role. They were fired for being good enough, for long enough to have earned a raise. The stock went up that day. 20 months later, Circuit City was dead. This is the liquidation files. Open the folder and fair warning, this file is different. There's no private equity firm in it, no landlord scheme, no dividend recap, no billionaire on both sides of the table. This is the file where a company did it to itself. First, understand what Circuit City was, because the punchline of this story requires the setup. Founded in Richmond, Virginia in 1949 by Samuel Wurtzel, it grew into the pioneer of the big-box electronics superstore and by 1994, the undisputed #1 consumer electronics retailer in America. It invented things, the superstore format itself, and a little side project called CarMax, which it created and spun off and which is worth tens of billions today. Circuit City was so well run for so long that Jim Collins featured it in Good to Great, the best-selling business book of its era, as a case study in enduring corporate excellence. And the engine underneath all of it, the thing every history of the company agrees on, was the sales floor, commissioned, trained, product-obsessed salespeople who could walk you from a question to a home theater. In electronics retail, where the products are confusing and expensive, the staff was the product. Keep your eye on that sentence because the entire collapse is the story of a management team that stopped believing it. The first cut came in 2003. Facing pressure from Best Buy and Walmart, Circuit City eliminated sales commissions entirely, pushing out thousands of its highest-performing commission sellers in a single stroke and converting the survivors to flat hourly pay. The logic was cost. The result, analysts noted at the time, was that sales suffered. The customers who came to Circuit City for expertise increasingly found clock punchers instead. The company had begun quietly liquidating its only real moat years before any court got involved. Then came 2007 and the event this file is named for. Circuit City called it, and this phrase deserves to be preserved in amber, a wage management initiative. Here is exactly how it worked, per the reporting at the time. The company set a pay cap for every job in every store based on local market rates. Any employee earning 51 cents an hour or more above the cap for their position was terminated immediately. Not the underperformers. The caps had nothing to do with performance, and the company's own spokesman confirmed it, saying the firings had, quote, nothing to do with their skills or whether they were a good worker or not, end quote. It was purely a function of their pay. Which means the 51-cent rule was, by design, a filter that selected the most experienced people in every building. Because in retail, the only way your wage drifts above market is years of service and years of raises. Circuit City built a machine that identified its most seasoned employees with perfect accuracy and fired everyone the machine found. The human specifics from the coverage that week are the kind you don't forget. A Virginia employee named Bobby Young, 20 years with the company, let go for earning $18 an hour. He wished me well, Young said of the manager who fired him, and that was it for 20 years of service. A 7-year employee in North Carolina earning $11.59 an hour was fired when the government's own data put the national average for retail salespeople at $11.14, 45 cents. That man lost his job over 45 cents an hour. The fired were offered a few weeks of severance and something the company apparently considered generous, the right to reapply for their own jobs after 10 weeks, at the new, lower wage. That same year, Per company filings reported by the Washington Post, CEO Philip Schoonover collected a salary of $716,000, a $704,000 bonus, and millions more in stock. And Wall Street? Wall Street applauded. Circuit City's stock rose about 2% on the day of the announcement. Sit with that for a second, because it's the most liquidation files detail in this entire file. The market looked at a retailer amputating its own expertise and priced it as good news. One analyst did sound the alarm that day, pointing out that the 2003 commission cuts had already hurt sales, and warning there was, quote, a danger the same thing will happen now. She was the only sober person at the party. What happened next was exactly what she predicted at speed. Customer service, by every account, cratered. There is a detail from the coverage that captures it perfectly. A Verizon employee working a kiosk inside a Circuit City told NBC that confused customers had started wandering over to ask her for help because there was no one left on the floor who knew anything. The veterans who had survived watched their raises get denied for breaching the caps. One former employee wrote that he was refused a 10-cent raise while the CEO's pay went up, and morale followed expertise out the door. 2 months later, management ran the playbook again, eliminating department managers and handing their jobs to hourly staff. Every cut made the next quarter's numbers slightly better and the company permanently worse. It was extraction, the same shape as every file on our shelf, except the asset being stripped wasn't real estate or cash. It was people. Circuit City ran a leveraged buyout against its own workforce and paid itself the difference. By 2008, the company was losing money in 5 of its last 6 quarters, bleeding vendors. It would die owing Hewlett-Packard $118 million, Samsung $116 million, and Sony $60 million, and it was shopping itself desperately. In one of history's great ironies, Blockbuster, yes, the Blockbuster from File 7, itself 2 years from its own bankruptcy, made a $1 billion offer to buy Circuit City that spring, took one look at the books, and walked away. When the financial crisis hit that fall, Circuit City had no cash cushion, no vendor goodwill, and no floor expertise left to fight with. Chapter 11 came on November 10, 2008. The company spent 2 months searching for a buyer. Nobody wanted it. In January 2009, the court approved full liquidation, and by March 8th, all 567 remaining stores were closed. More than 34,000 people lost their jobs, including presumably the cheaper replacements hired to save that 45 cents. The Circuit City name itself sold for $14 million to a company that wanted the website. Even the CEO's epitaph was self-aware. Schoonover himself admitted in 2007 that the company's problems were, quote, primarily self-induced. And the founder's own son, Alan Wurtzel, who had run the company in its glory years, later wrote a book about the collapse whose title finishes the Jim Collins joke for us, Good to Great to Gone. So why does this file belong in our series when nobody looted it? Because Circuit City is the honest counterweight, the proof that this channel isn't a conspiracy board. 12 files in, you could be forgiven for thinking every corporate death needs a private equity firm holding the knife. Circuit City says no. Sometimes management does it alone, for free. But look closer, and it's not really a different story. It's the same story with a different asset. Every company in our files died when someone decided a piece of it was a cost to be extracted rather than the foundation to be kept. Red Lobster's buildings, Toys R Us's cash flow, Joann's clean balance sheet. Circuit City's was the 20-year veteran who knew which receiver to sell you, and when management fired him to save 45 cents an hour, the market cheered, the quarter improved, and the company began dying of the same wound as all the others, the mistaking of an asset for an expense. The lesson on the label of this file: you can liquidate a company without a bankruptcy court. Circuit City liquidated its most valuable inventory in a single morning in March 2007. It just took the paperwork 2 more years to notice. If you want more files like this one, the companies you grew up with, and the decisions that quietly hollowed them out, that's what we do here at the Liquidation Files. The next file is already open. I'll see you in that one.